All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Lindsey Henderson. I am a modern work specialist here with Microsoft, and I've been with the company for almost 6 years now. I've been in the education space covering K-12s that whole time, and I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. Cody?
Thanks, Lindsey. And my name's Cody Holder. I am a customer success account manager based out of San Antonio, Texas. Real excited about this opportunity to show off some of the really cool learning accelerators that we have for you today.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. It looks like everyone has the ability to come off mute. So we want this to be interactive. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can do the raise your hand feature. That's going to be at the top bar. You'll see a little hand that says raise, so we can pretend like we're in class, and that'll notify the order of people raising hands. So before we get into some of the actual accessibility and learning accelerator tools that Microsoft has built in completely free for you all to use, I wanted to take a second just to talk about accessibility and why these are becoming more and more important. As you all know, we're kind of hearing the phrase accessibility is a responsibility. And so I want to talk about just accessibility, disability, and like the power in creating an inclusive classroom for everybody. So you'll see there on the left, 1 billion people estimated worldwide have disabilities. That's about 15% of the world's population, many of whom are going to need some sort of assistive technology. And in fact, only 1 in 10 have access to the appropriate technology needs that they have. People with disabilities have 2 times the unemployment rate of people without. And another thing to note is that obviously, not all disabilities are immediately apparent. In fact, 70% of them are invisible to the naked eye, and they can be permanent, temporary, or situational. So if you're thinking permanent, that could be somebody who maybe is dyslexic. You're not going to see that by looking at them. Temporary disability of any kind, whether it's visible or not, could be if you break your arm and you're all of a sudden in a cast. And so you've got limited motion there. Situational, maybe you're working from home one day because you've got a sick child and you're having to hold them in your arm while taking calls. You just need to make sure you're able to handle everything. So we want to make sure that faculty, staff, teachers are aware of some of these assistive technologies and learning accelerators available to you all. And then we definitely want to kind of hone in on the fact today about how this will be able to help students. And just something here is a fun fact, not a fun fact, but more insight into the Microsoft as a whole. Our CEO, Satya, has a real personal vested interest in accessibility. He's really made sure that it's become, it's built into the ground up of our solutions and not something bolted on at the end. We take it very seriously, and we want to help make sure that, everyone, students, faculty, staff, teachers, everyone are set up for success. And so with that, we've got a couple things here that we're going to talk about today. The first is going to be Immersive Reader and how that's going to be great for people with all sorts of learning challenges and as an accessibility tool. And then we're going to dive into the learning accelerators. So put in the chat window, I'd love to hear. I think we've got some good Teams users here, but has anybody used or heard of Immersive Reader?
We got one
couple
yes.
Yeses. Awesome.
Our
Okay.
instructional technology department is trying to roll it out specifically this year. We have a few people used it, but we're going to be focusing on Immersive Coach and Immersive Reader, and hopefully learn a little bit about Math Coach as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that background. So Immersive Reader is one of our first accessibility tools that Microsoft kind of built in and made accessible, pun intended, for everybody. So it is built into Teams as well as the Edge browser. And it's all around helping improve, the reading for students regardless of age or ability. And it also helps them, encourage independent learning. And so, yes, Valentine, I figured you meant reading code for reading progress. No worries. So Immersive Reader was initially built to help students with dyslexia. It goes into being able to get rid of distractions and have a scalable and inclusive classroom. So when I think back to when I was in school, if the student had trouble focusing or maybe had dyslexia or whatever challenge they had, the teacher would come by. You guys remember that, with a printed piece of paper and then like the ruler or another piece of paper to put over it so that student could go kind of line by line. Well, one, that's not scalable. If someone in our class needed help at the same time, the teacher couldn't go around to the same multiple students at once. And second of all, it was very stigmatizing. That student was very called out, and it was very obvious to the rest of us in the class that they were needing extra help. And so that's not going to be great to help that student's, confidence as they're moving forward. And so Immersive Reader is going to be fabulous when it comes to helping, again, people with dyslexia or reading challenges. You've got the ability to do line focus. And so you'll see here in kind of the little high level demo, they take what's a normal article that maybe is hard to read and they put it into Immersive Reader. And that's going to give you the line focus. So you can spread it out to where you have 1, 3, or 5 lines going at a time. It's going to help people with ADD, cerebral palsy, attention issues, as well as dyslexia. It's built into like OneNote, Word, Outlook, Teams, and the Edge browser. A couple just personal stories. I have ADD, and so I get very distracted. And so if I'm actually reading a news article online, or maybe I'm trying to study for something here with Microsoft, you get those ads in the backgrounds of different web browsers. Well, I can then actually put that page in Immersive Reader, and that's going to get rid of all of the background noise. All of those little ads and pictures are going to go away, and I'm just going to be able to focus on the content. So that's just one way to use it as like an adult end user. Another example is going to be, again, around this dyslexia story. My husband was a baseball player here at a public school in the DFW area. And while he was succeeding athletically, he was struggling academically and got diagnosed with pretty severe dyslexia his junior year of high school. The school at the time didn't have the supporting tools that he needed. And so he actually transferred to a small private school. And that totally changed his trajectory. He went from having, huge watch baseball games to trying to have to promote himself and leaving all the friends, people that he's known for years. And so Immersive Reader is just a really powerful tool that we want to make sure everyone is aware that they have access to. It's completely free. This can help students of any and all ages, as well as adults, and just being able to, again, kind of get rid of the focus and the clutter. Cody, is there anything else you want to add around Immersive Reader?
This is also a really good tool, and Lindsey, those are great examples, but this is also a really good tool for ESL and ELL learners. It's one of those things that you can use for single line translation, or you can translate an entire document. The great thing about this too is it's read back to you, and it doesn't sound like Siri, or if you're an Android user, it's Bixby. It doesn't sound like a robotic voice reading back to you. We've created, I say we, the engineers, not me, created this with authenticity in mind, understanding that dialect is important. And so even if we were to show you Immersive Reader right now, there's 3 different dialects of Spanish you can pick, from Spain to Latin America to Central America. And Mexico Spanish is the Central American one. So it's a very, very in-depth tool. And it's powered by Azure and AI. So the more it's used, the more it's going to learn. It's a really, really awesome tool. And the last thing I'll focus on here is that picture dictionary is powerful for ELL and ESL learners, because of what it does is, I speak English as my first language, and I'm studying Spanish right now. And if I see a word and I think it's a cognate, so it's like teléfono in Spanish, it's telephone in English, and I see a word that I'm like, oh, that's got to mean the same thing. It's got to be a cognate. That picture dictionary will quickly correct me because I'm often wrong. And it gives me a good opportunity to practice how that word's supposed to sound with that single word playback too. So it's a really, really powerful tool.
Great call out, Cody. Thank you. And then the last thing too would be towards the bottom here, you'll see highlighting parts of speech. Again, this little video clip is just a quick snippet of Immersive Reader. We know today's focus on the learning and accessibility tools. So we're not doing a demo of Immersive Reader, but we do have some leave behind material for you all. But when you put it into Immersive Reader, you can actually then highlight out the parts of speech. So maybe things get called out as nouns or verbs, adjectives, adverbs. This would be really, really helpful for a teacher that's, teaching kind of the younger students the parts of speech, what those mean, and being able to color code it or have those highlighted with, the way they're differentiated out. So there's a lot of, again, opportunity and assistance here with an Immersive Reader, and we just can't rave about it enough. We all use it today even. So again, that'll be in some of our leave behind links for you all. All right, now to get into some of the fun stuff, which is kind of why we're here today around the learning accelerators and reading coach, reading progress specifically. Essentially, learning accelerators, these are going to be pre-built, customizable AI solutions that are all around enhancing specific learning scenarios. So you'll kind of see that there's part of them where they focus on foundational skills for students like reading and math. And then we've got some that are kind of on the future ready skills when it comes to public speaking and being able to search and kind of being, a digital citizen, respectful digital citizen online and finding good resources. So you'll see here that they're going to help educators deliver a more equitable education through, like I said, the foundational math and literacy and well-being skills. going into classroom to career skills like information literacy and public speaking. You're going to end up getting actionable data so that teachers going to be able to have data kind of backing up their informed decisions as they go into parent-teacher conferences or talk to students. And we also have real-time coaching that's going to give individualized feedback. We know personalized learning is becoming a very big thing and very necessary in schools, and that's going to help with that. One thing to note is that, again, these learning accelerators are completely free. Not all of them have been rolled out yet. So we're starting to release them more. Reading Coach and Reading Progress is available at the moment. Like it was mentioned, I think by Valentine at the beginning, that's looking to be rolled out this year. Speaker Coach is also available, and coming on later on, I think later on this school year is going to be Math Coach as well as Search Coach. Okay, so oh, I meant to include this, sorry, after our immersive reader. We do have a quick guide to it, and that will be one of the leave behind links. Sorry, slide was in the wrong order. Okay, Reading Coach, Reading Progress. So as we all know, educators are faced with so many different challenges today. I think I've heard a stat that like 64% of teachers have students that have 4 or more reading levels in one classroom. So in addition to that, teachers are going to be facing challenges around like lack of class time to provide individualized attention and support. Maybe not enough school or district support that's needed to help with the impact and efficiency in the classroom. We know that it's time consuming and tedious to track individual reading progress at scale. When it kind of comes to the reading test days, a lot of the times, teachers have to you all know it. I don't want to tell you what to do, but, they've gone in the hallway and they have to give the students busy work, and it just becomes very time consuming, and it's hard. And it's very subjective sometimes to evaluate and rate a student on where they're going when it comes to reading. And so Reading Coach, Reading Progress was made to really help, again, save educators classroom time, help promote that independent student practice, and unlock insights through analytics. So the student is going to be able to independently complete reading assignments. So teachers got the ability to assign passages to a class as a whole, or they can select specific passages for certain students. Again, thinking about how maybe there's different reading levels within one class. Basically, you're going to be able to have an auto detect tool that's going to have adjustable pronunciation sensitivity, and it's eventually going to also give you word challenges and practice activities based on students' individual trends. Here are just a couple of breakdown of different areas that we're seeing really successful when it comes to reading progress and being able to use that for students. Going from early readers K through 5, middle school, we're seeing success in high school. Cody mentioned earlier around Immersive Reader with ELLs and non-native English speakers, also going into special education. There's a lot of information that can be uncovered here. And with that, I want to actually take the time to show you the tool and what it can do. So Cody, I'm going to stop presenting and over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsey. So one of the really good things about all this, and Lindsey's hit on this, is as I'm sharing my screen, all of the Learning Accelerator tools are going to be built into everything that y'all have within your M365 subscription. Lindsey, can y'all see my screen?
Yes, I can
Awesome.
see it.
Perfect. And let me just make sure I have the chat pulled up on my other screen so that I can see any questions. Make sure it's not working. There we go. Okay. So it's available to y'all in Teams already. The great thing about this is, and I have a demo tenant spun up here. I'll show y'all a couple of things that really, really help expedite teachers' grading. It also will help if y'all have any reading instructors on campuses. It'll help speed up their time as well. The good thing about Reading Progress and Reading Coach is the feedback is given in the language that you've uploaded the document in or selected. And if you don't want to upload a document or anything like that, you can use a preloaded list of passages from ReadWorks, who we've partnered with already. So it's a pretty cool thing. So I have my 4th grade class team here already pulled up. And you'll notice on my general channel, and every team you create is going to have a general channel. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that. I have a lot of assignments here, and they're all reading progress assignments. So I'm going to kind of go into one and just kind of give you a detailed view of what the end result looks like so you can get excited about why we're going to create one in a second, okay? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to view assignment. And I'm going to click on Ashley right here. She's turned it in. I have not reviewed it as of yet. But you'll notice you get a lot of data real quick. Right? So we have our correct words per minute. We have our accuracy rate. We have the errors that occurred, so mispronunciations, any omissions, insertions, repetitions, self-corrections, and what words Ashley might have practiced. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see that we have a video of Ashley if we wanted to listen to it. We would also be able to auto-detect anything, or we could go in, listen, and manually mark this if you want to. The auto-detect is what speeds things up for the educators and your reading coaches. You can actually increase or decrease the pronunciation sensitivity right here. So if I increase this, you'll notice that we have a lower correct words per minute, a lower accuracy rate. There's more mispronunciations, self-corrections, and insertions. If I lower it, you'll notice we have more words correct, higher accuracy rate, less errors that were called out. So I'm going to put it back in the middle. This is really good for students who might be ELL or ESL. They might have an accent where the AI is trying to look for a less of an accent here. That would help mitigate some of the quote unquote mispronunciations that are picked up due to a student's potential accent, right? Additionally, what we can do from here is you can actually see the progress of Ashley over time. And this is really, really critical, right? Yes, we want to be able to save time, take our time back from grading. We want to make sure that that it's expedited, students have the feedback that we need to give them, but we also want to make sure that things are trending in the right direction, right? I don't want to have a student, when I was a music teacher, when I assigned a music theory assignment to my students, if I saw that over time they weren't understanding their treble clef staff or their bass clef staff, or they thought they were the same, the lines and spaces in the bass clef and the treble clef were the same over 3 or 4 assignments, I needed to stop, right? But I didn't see that data. I had to be the one who's manually tracking that. And here, what we can do with Ashley's reading progress over time is we can actually see that data live, and it's less manual labor. So I'm going to click on see Ashley's reading progress over time. It's just over here in the corner. And you'll notice that we have some things that pop up here specific to Ashley. So we have our challenging words. You can see she struggled with watch, eyes, because popular throughout. It's a little heat map of her words that she's struggled with. Reading accuracy on 2 assignments. Average words per minute, and you'll notice we have a little color-coded map here over here at the top right. It's Ashley's that team's purple, and the rest compared to the rest of the class. So Ashley's a little behind the rest of the class on average words per minute. That's great information for us. However, Ashley started almost par with the rest of the class on average words per minute for these two, or accuracy rate, excuse me, for these 2 assignments, but is actually a little ahead. Really impressive, right? And then down here we have our phonic rules. The great thing about, I'm going to scroll all the way back up. The great thing about the challenging words and the phonic rules is you'll see this button here that says create challenging assignment. You can do this for the individual student, or you can do this for all students, right? And I'll show you how you see the data for all students here momentarily. Right? So if I wanted to create a challenging assignment for phonic rules, all I have to do, if I want to look for a specific category, you can do consonant or digraph, and let's do consonant. And she struggled with her R's, right? I'm going to do a challenging assignment for the R's, and I click challenging assignment, and then click create. And so here's some words that we can assign to her to practice, right? Sure, searched, fire, brown, turned, started, and then you could create that challenging word assignment if you wanted to from there. And I want to show you what it looks like from that heat map as well. So create that challenging word assignment. So here we go. Words from reading progress assignments. Watch, because, learn, lake, eyes. You know what? She struggled with the route. Let's try that again. And I think maybe it's those combined words, rainforest, throughout, destination. Those kinds are a little harder, so we can create that challenging word assignment from there as well and be prescriptive to the individual student. Again, quick. This is based on the data at hand from the AI that's listening to the student, and very, very powerful. It's prescriptive to the student and can very, very quickly enhance the reading comprehension and capability. All right, so that's from the student view, what we can do as the educator. Are there any specific questions about that? I know that's a lot to take in at one time.
Cody, I think it'd be helpful if we could play the video real quickly of Ashley, just so we can actually see it in progress. And then when you switch over to show the educator view with the stats of the students, I want to highlight how really important this would be for parent-teacher conferences. Because again, math is so easy to be like, oh, look, here's your test score. They got the program, they got the answer right or wrong with the equation.
Right.
Reading and things like that can be very subjective and kind of hard to prove. And I think a lot of times parents are really just wanting evidence. Not necessarily they don't believe the teacher, but they just have a hard time understanding. And so to be able to show the visuals of here's how Ashley's tracking over time, here's how her accuracy rate's gotten better, here's how she's comparing to the rest of her peers in the class, that's gonna be really valuable information. So I'll pause and let Cody kind of share the video real quickly. I just think it's really cool to see it in action and get the idea.
Sounds good. I had to stop sharing for a moment, make sure I was sharing my audio. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to enlarge it for the sake of this video, and then I'm going to click play.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography. Landforms can be mountains and valleys. They can also be glaciers or rivers. Landforms are sometimes called physical features. It is important for students to know about the physical geography of Earth, the seasons, and atmosphere. All
right, I'm going to stop right there. And you notice as we were going through the study of Earth's landforms called physical geography, and she kind of fumbled over some of those words and the AI caught it, right? And so that's what Lindsey wants y'all to see, right? You're seeing a lot of the a lot of the ways that the AI can help enhance your grading, as well as provide the feedback that's necessary to help improve that student's literacy rate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go outside of our assignments. I'm going to close out of this. And I'm going to go back to my classroom team, my 4th grade classroom team. And here's where it's really, really great as a former educator to be able to say, hey, I can get granular on the student level and hone in on the individual student needs, right? But we also need to be cognizant of what's going on at a classroom level, right? And so what we're going to show you next is called Insights. And we used to have this thing called Insights Premium. Now it's just freemium, I guess. It's included in your subscription. And now what we can do is not only can we zoom in, I'm going to call it the 10-foot view. We can zoom out to the 100-foot view for the classroom, and then 1,000-foot view, we can actually look at some of this data for the district. It's really, really powerful. So first, let's take a look at the classroom, right? So I'm going to go every class team that you create, unless admin has turned it off. So if you don't see it when you create one, you need to reach out to IT, has an Insights tab, okay? When you click on Insights, you're going to get another just slew of data thrown at you. It's really, really cool if you're a data nerd like myself. You notice at the top you'll have the amount of digital activity a student engages in, any assignments that they've turned in, and all for grading and submissions. Reading is where we'll take a look at our reading progress data. Social emotional learning Reflect app here. Search Coach is already available. That's one of the new learning accelerators that's available to y'all. And then you'll see we have spotlights, and then there's just some highlights of things that we'll notice from reading progress, social emotional learning, and things like that. So this Insights tab gives you a lot of data. I highly encourage you to look at it. For the purposes of this conversation, we're going to click on reading. And what we're doing here is this might look very similar to what you saw with Ashley's Insights. However, this is the class Insights for my 4th grade class. So we have a challenging words heat map for the entire class. So throughout showed up on Ashley. It looks like my class is struggling with the word throughout in general. Bot. Okay, so now I'm starting to see a trend here. Bot throughout. It's that OUGHT kind of thing that might be throwing some stuff off. We can create that challenging word assignment that we discussed for Ashley. We can do it for the entire class if we need to. Here's all the accuracy rate for every reading progress assignments that we've had. You can hover over to get data, mispronunciations based on the entire class, omissions, insertions, self-corrections, repetitions. Same thing down here for each assignment. You'll notice each assignment has its own lexile level that's associated with it, the genre, and obviously the date assigned. Here's just your class's trend, average words per minute. On the whole, we're going up. In my opinion, that's a great thing, right? Accuracy rate, on the whole, we've gone up and we've stayed stagnant for the last 3 reading assignments. So it's only been a week, so we're all right there. And then we have our phonic rules. You'll notice that we have different categories now because we're taking the entire class data in. So we can do all categories. We can do vowels, vowel teams, digraph, however you want to do it. It's the same process as you create that assignment. And then here we get granular on the student level. Like we can zoom out as much as we need to, but then we can kind of go, it's like a funnel, right? We can go right back down to that 10-foot view. So I'm going to go down here to Enrico and I'm going to click on the 3 ellipses right there from that classroom view. And now I can go dive in right into data on reading progress. So he struggled with fire and lake, and he's only done one of them. So that's something that we could look out for as a teacher. We see, okay, great. Now I see what, he hasn't practiced enough. He hasn't done enough of the assignments. So he could be struggling. We don't have a lot of data points yet, but we noticed that we also have 3 different challenging or phonic rules for him that we could create a assignment for based on the one reading progress assignment. The more a student does their reading progress assignments, the more data that we'll be able to have that is called actionable data, right? It's cool to be able to look at something on a dashboard or something like that and be like, okay, I see it, right? But what do we do with data, right? If we don't have something that is clearly actionable and powerful to use, that data is just data, right? So using something called like actionable data to be able to correct or change any assignments is I'm sorry, correct or change anything that we need to phonetically or just pronunciation wise really goes a long way. I see there's a question in the chat here. When students are easily distracted and go back to to correct their mistakes, will it take the first read or I'm assuming that's supposed to be compile as many times as they read it. Does that AI cut time? That's a great question. Okay, so the way it works is when you create the assignment, and I'll show that here in a second, you get the opportunity to allow redos, right? So if you do unlimited, they can go back as many times as they want and practice that reading progress assignment before they say, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna submit that. So if they get distracted, it gives them the opportunity to go back and try again. Good question. Okay. So I'm going to close out of our insights here. And the last thing I'm going to show you before we create one is the district data. Okay. So going back to our general channel here. So this part is the one you kind of have to search for. This is the hard part. And it's not hard. You just got to know where you're searching, right? So within Teams, unless it's been turned off by IT, you can go into the 3 dots or the apps. And we're going to click on, for this one, we're going to click on the apps. And there's a search bar that pops up. All right. From there, what we're going to type in is just Insights Premium. Oh, I had a glitch. Sorry about that. Insights. All right. So it's just Insights now. Sorry, it's not Insights Premium. So we're going to click on that and open it up. And this is where it's going to look very similar to the insights we saw for the class, except you'll notice on the far left-hand side, we have all of my classes that I have data around, right? So we can switch between language arts, literature, and writing. These are my classes specifically, or if you look at the top right next to the ellipses, you can go to your organization. And when you go to your organization, you get digital engagement, missed assignments, missed meetings, workload, reading progress accuracy rates, and you can kind of just get a quick trend of what's going on throughout the school district. See, there's a question. Does the AI identify trends for classes? Like if the students are not identifying that the ending E changes the vowel to a long sound? That would be under the phonic rules. So if it's happening, yes. Good question. So this is that 1,000-foot view. So think of this like a tunnel. We're going to start granular. It's just going to go wider as much for all the data that we're looking for. So this is really good for admin leadership to understand what's going on at a district level. And then you can actually filter through different parts of the organization as well. So I'm going to go back to my classes and you'll notice that I can filter through each one of those as well. Okay. Now, I covered a lot about data. I'm a data guy. I like it a lot. But now we're going to go into the creation process, and it's going to give you the opportunity if you're maybe working with some older students, it gives you the opportunity to put some restrictions on the assignment. Let's say you're only going to give them 3 retries or 5 retries and not unlimited, right? And we can put some restrictions around this. So we're going to go back into our teams. I'm going to go into assignments. And then I'm gonna go down here at the bottom and click on create. We're gonna do new assignment. And then I'm just gonna call this the sounds of baseball. And then what you'll do is you will just put in some instructions. Please read the assigned passage. And we're going to go to attach right here. You go down all the way down almost to the bottom and click on reading progress. All right, we're going to click on get started. That'll pop up if it's the first time you've logged in. So you can do two things here. If you have a shared cloud drive or a shared local drive that has plenty of assignments for you, you can upload that PDF or Word document from that shared drive. It does do language detection, so if you want to do one in Spanish or French, you can upload it in that as well. I believe it's about 55 to 60 languages. I don't remember exactly offhand. Or we have that sample library, and that's what we're going to click on today for ReadWorks. You can filter by grade level and then Lexile level, or you can do it by the alphabetical by the title, genre, and then word count. I'm a big Astros fan. Astros has been winning lately, so I'm going to do the sounds of baseball. Click select. Here's our passage. And then if you want to see what the students will see, it gives you the opportunity to look at that. Okay. Because I'm using my camera to talk to y'all and my microphone, I can't actually show that to you, but it'll show the student here. It'll give microphone feedback here. You click start, and then the passage will pop up after it counts down from 3. Okay. So let's close out of that. Yes. Oh, didn't mean to close that all the way. Let's go back. Secondary, the sounds of baseball, select. All right. And then from here, what we can do, if Lexile level is not your cup of tea, you can go in and you can actually change that manually to whatever you want it to be. Unlimited number of attempts, this is where you can change that if you want to be a little bit more prescriptive to an individual, or you could leave it as unlimited and go all the way up to 10 attempts versus before you have to go to unlimited. You can set a time limit. Again, if we're working with some older students, if we want to make sure that they're reading quickly, effectively, you can set a time limit for the passage. You could do pronunciation sensitivity. We have less sensitive default and more sensitive. Reading coach this is what it will look like if a student decides to practice some words. It's very similar to what you see in Immersive Reader if you've used it before. You'll be able to hear the word.
Atmosphere.
You'll be able to stretch out the word for the syllables. You'll be able to have a picture dictionary. You can show the tools at the very beginning of the assignment. You can change the voice to make it a little more comfortable for the individual. And then you have a more supportive prompt or a very direct prompt. So I had to ask what this was a couple months ago because I was like, that sounds weird. What does this mean? And it's going to basically say, hey, why don't you try this again for a supportive prompt, or a direct prompt would be, hey, do this again. So I think it depends on the class and what you guys think is best. You know your students. And then from there, we just click save for reading coach. If your district does not allow you to video your students, that's perfectly fine. This tool still allows you to turn that off, and you can still use the mic access. The good thing about the video is it does allow any speech pathologists necessary to help with create pronunciation trainings and phonic skillings for the student if they have to do that. So I'm going to turn it on here. Then we're just going to click next. And then on the right-hand side, you'll notice a couple of things. We have a due date, the time that it's due. So I'm not a mean teacher. I'm not going to have something due on Monday or Saturday or Sunday. I'll do Tuesday at midnight. No, not midnight because they're 4th grade. They should be in bed by then. 8 p.m. You could do all students, all current and future students. I say that as a dad, not the teacher. Individual students or groups of students. Right now, and the reason I'm showing you this is you cannot do reading progress assignments for groups of students. It's either all or one, right? So I just want to make sure you see that that's intentional. And then you can assign points to it. What I have seen most educators use reading progress for is the accuracy rate that the student receives. That's their grade. So it's out of 100. And then as I showed you earlier with Ashley's, she got a 92. So, and then you just click either save as a draft or assign. And then from there, we'll go assign, and then I should get a notification here soon. All done. So that's reading progress in a nutshell. Some other things that you'll be on the lookout for, Lindsey mentioned, is Math Coach, Math Progress. Reading Comprehension is coming out soon. So it will allow you to create a quiz with Microsoft Forms and assign that to the reading progress assignment. So not only are we worried about accuracy rate, we want to make sure that we understand that the students have a comprehensive understanding of what they read, right? So it makes sure, it just ensures that it's a holistic picture here, right? Reading progress is a great start. That data is very important, right? But just because a student can say a word doesn't mean they know what that word means. And we want to make sure that we're moving forward in a proper way for comprehension. So any questions?
Do you all see how this could be used to help? I mean, we've gotten some really excited feedback from other schools. And again, actually adding the reading comprehension was the biggest ask, to not just have fluency, but also have comprehension. So we're excited that that's available. Wonderful tool. Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you, Cody. Appreciate the time of you going over that. We do have, and again, this will be in some of the leave behind links. We do have a quick guide available for you all to kind of walk through how Reading Coach is going to be available within Immersive Reader, which we reviewed earlier. And so now with a little bit of the time we've got left, Cody and I want to take a minute to kind of walk through some of the other learning accelerators. And again, we'll call out which ones are available at the moment or not, but at the end of the day, either way, they are free and will eventually be available for you all to use to help with students. So the next, we just focused a lot of time on reading. Math is also becoming a challenge for everyone. We're, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, so NAEP, the pandemic resulted in math achievement falling across every percentile, even for highest performers. So we're seeing, definitely math scores struggle across the nation. Students are, needing to practice with more problems getting that tailored help. So Math Coach and Math Progress are going to help provide students with additional practice, give them real-time feedback, as well as helpful tips. And it's going to help walk them through, the actual process to solve a problem. So I think you guys can see here from the image, you've got linear equations. It's going to walk through what that is and how the student can help solve that. So Math Coach is going to break down each part of the problem with text explanations for each step of the operation. I know, like a lot of times teachers too, when you're doing a math homework assignment, it's show your work, not just get the answer. So it's going to show the students the proper process to go through solving that particular equation. And then Math Progress is going to assist teachers in generating practice questions, identifying which concepts challenge the students most, and provide feedback for them. The tool is also going to work in tandem with Math Coach. So that's going to help generate additional practice problems for students based on teacher input and insights gathered from their previous Math Progress assignments. So we're really excited for this. This will be available, we're being told, later in the school year, hopefully before the end of 2024. Before the end of the 2023-2024 school year. So we're hopefully seeing that this should, again, this school year later on. We're at the moment, it's focusing on like 4th through 9th grade math skills to start. So it's going to have like basic math and algebra, elementary into middle school. And at the moment, it will not go up into calculus. You never know what will happen in the future, but that's kind of the start at the moment here. Cody, anything you want to add on Math Coach in progress?
Not particularly. Oh, yes. I lied to you. One of the things that's really cool about this is if anybody uses OneNote, a lot of the capabilities from the Math Progress and Math Coach are available for students to practice in OneNote should administration allow it. And what I mean by that is, let's say we have a linear equation that's written out. I'm a very tactile learner. if I watch somebody solve a math problem, I'm not going to learn it, right? I need to watch them and then write along with them for it to work. And the good thing is maybe it's after school and I'm a 7th grade algebra teacher. Or as algebra student, excuse me, and I have to go home and I have an assignment, and the notes I took aren't making sense to me. Well, I can write out that equation. I could actually use OneNote to help solve that equation, and it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to solve that. And then I could save those instructions within my OneNote just by dragging and dropping. The great thing about this is too, I can open those instructions in Immersive Reader and then have them read back to me. And then maybe I'm ELL or ESL. I can translate all of those step-by-step instructions into the native language that I speak and have it read back to me in a way that I learn more comfortably, right? So it's a really, really powerful tool. It's not meant to take the place of the classroom, but it's there as a supplemental asset. It's really, really powerful.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody. So those, math coach and then reading coach are kind of building on those foundational skills that we spoke about at the beginning with the learning accelerators. And now we want to talk about some of those future ready skills. So one of them is going to be search coach. This is going to be all around helping kids cope with what they experience online. It's kind of just one of the reasons why digital literacy and teaching that in schools is so important. So this is all around that information literacy, like I mentioned at the beginning. You can kind of view it as like a search engine with training wheels. It's kind of a good analogy. So it's going to help students become, more informed consumers online. We see a lot of times people sharing, news articles on maybe personal social media, and it's not a real website, or it's kind of a fake one. The due diligence hasn't been done. We all know when it comes to writing papers for school, when, I was there when Wikipedia came out, and it was always do not use Wikipedia. That's not an accurate source. You need to find your sources. So this is basically, that no cost, powerful app in Teams that's going to help students do searches and build queries and identify reliable resources. And it's going to show how to identify them. So it will also give you like a search tip of the day and also teach you how to form better questions to get better answers. So a good example is if I'm going to be writing a paper and I go search, are dogs better than cats? The way that I put in that query is going to then give me biased results. And it's going to show me all these articles about dogs being better than cats because of the way I worded it. So it's going to go into the why of a language and how you put a query in and how that's going to be helpful. Educators, like with the other tools, are going to get class insights. The teacher will be able to see who only opened the first answer, the first article that clicked in. It's going to show the number of search attempts that a student did, as well as a word cloud of searches. We're looking to bring this into the Edge browser in late 2023, so hopefully into the school year. And Search Coach will be using Being Safe when it comes to some of the security and privacy. Teachers will be able to make assignments for students to draft sources and turn in. And again, the teacher will be able to look at the types of searches made and look for any search patterns amongst the class. Cody, anything you want to add around the potential with Search Coach and progress?
No, this is great, Lindsey.
Awesome. All right. The last one we want to talk about today is Speaker Coach and Speaker Progress. So one thing is that at the moment, 96% of employers are rating that communication is a key workplace skill. But at the moment, they're saying that only 41% of their employees are proficient in it. I was sitting on a cloud college advisory committee for a local community college here in DFW, and they brought in a bunch of local. I need speaker progress today. Goodness, they brought in a bunch of local, business owners and people in the industry to have us help build out the cloud curriculum. I thought we'd be sitting the whole time talking about all the technical things needed around computing and Python and coding and all these things that I don't really know because that's not my genre. But I was shocked at the amount of time we spent on these soft skills and the ability for public speaking. How no matter what your role is, whether you're a customer-facing role or maybe you're more behind the scenes, you're still going to have to present to a manager or talk to peers. And so really getting students the success and this foundation around speaking progress is really helpful. So Speaker Coach is going to help students prepare in private and give them, more effective presentations. So it's going to evaluate your pace, your pitch, your use of filler words. If you have any informal speech that goes on, any euphemisms that you give, or culturally sensitive terms. It's also going to detect if you're being overly wordy or simply just reading the text on the slide. It's going to then, after you do the practice, it's going to give you a report after your rehearsal showing you kind of in the bottom corner, you'll see that breaks out the filler words and things like that. It can also give you real-time feedback while you're presenting, saying, hey, Lindsey, you're stuttering a lot. You need to focus. Or the biggest one for me is my pace. I am a very quick speaker, so that always lights up when I go through Speaker Coach and practice through that. Oh, there's a filler word. See, that also would have alerted me. It is Speaker Coach is currently available in English within Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Teams. So that's just something to call it. It's not available in all of our tools yet, but these are free and available to use at the moment. Highly suggest playing around with them. We have one more slide on Speaker Coach. Again, just going into that student development. Here's a closer look at the rehearsal report that somebody gets. Like I said, it's going to tell you the time that you did, the slides that you went over, breaking down into pace, pitch, filler words, and things like that. Cody, anything you want to add around Speaker Coach?
This is a great tool for students who might have a fear of public speaking, but they still need to go through the process, right? I know in one of my previous lives, I was actually a public speaker for an elected official. So I would go around the greater Houston area, go to all the ribbon cuttings on his behalf, and have to say all these things that I was real nervous to say. This is actually one of the ways I practiced my speeches. It gives you real good feedback. It gives you timely feedback. It tells you how fast you're talking, how, all the things that Lindsey talked about. And it tells you if you're being monotone. Nobody wants to hear somebody talk like this all day. It just, even as a former teacher, my students would be like, Mister, are you okay? So, students, they're always very direct. So it's just one of those things that it's a really cool tool, and it empowers those students who might not feel empowered otherwise.
Perfect. Thank you. You also see here at the bottom left, you'll see body language. So it is kind of using AA to try to detect eye contact if I'm looking at the screen or if I'm looking away, and just really help again with that overall delivery. And then, yeah, this is just kind of a final summation slide of different resources we compiled for you all just around some of the learning accelerators. Takes you to our homepage, and then we've got kind of deeper dives and demos, even some handouts and PDFs and things like that. So I'm going to put all of those links here in the chat window for you all to have access to. And that was everything Cody and I had covered today, had planned to cover today with the learning accelerators. Cody, anything else you want to add?
Not at all. Yes, if you're not following him, follow Mike Dolson on Twitter. He gives regular updates on Twitter, on YouTube. He has a great YouTube page on TikTok if you like TikTok. I'm sure he's on everything else under the sun too, social media. Great following, provides great updates on the tools as they're coming out.
Yes, thanks, Cody. I've actually got a link on for Mike Dolson YouTube channel, so I will put that in the chat window
Awesome.
here.
Well, we timed that well. It's 11:30.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 5 minutes left in the session, so I'm sure everyone can use a break. I know you all have a lot of different sessions that you're able to join today, so we really appreciate you all taking the time to join us. And I think we're presenting a little bit later this afternoon to, I guess, some other audience members. And thank you all so much again for all the work you do. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
All right, y'all have a great day.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Now that you're out from here, I'm going to put the link for the lunch keynote. Feel free to join. It starts at 12. It's a great information, and if you required any training for any of the Microsoft products like Reading Coach, Reading Progress, hopefully Math Coach and Math Progress will come out soon. The one that is Speaker Coach, that one's ready, and those are great for any speech coaches or speech classes that you might have. But the Reading Coach and Reading Progress, I love it. And get ready. If you need any training, just contact us at Instructional Technology. If you're high school, feel free to contact David. Middle school, contact Marco, or elementary, depending where you are far. Those are my schools, and San Juan and Alma are Debbie's, but you can contact us anytime. Thank you.
Thanks for joining, guys.